Hello everybody, this is Nikki again with yet another podcast. So, it's been a while since I recorded one of these episodes because I have been busy with other things. Life gets in the way, and sometimes you just don't feel like you're good enough to even share anything with anybody, to be honest, because life is nothing but a series of ups and downs, and nobody's immune to that. It's part of the human experience, isn't it? You kind of have your ups and you have your downs, and sometimes you experience them as a consequence of external factors. Sometimes it's not even your fault. Sometimes life just happens around you and it's nothing to do with you. So, in cases when you have no control over what's happening to you, the key is remembering that you have control of how you respond to things. That's the only real thing. That's the only control that we do actually have in our lives. We can always control how we respond to things. So we're either gonna allow them to trigger us and cause us to act or speak in ways in which we will regret in the future. We may let our hair down completely in the heat of a moment and just say some things that may cause loss of connections. We may say things or do things that may hurt people that we do truly love. And we may cause some damages or permanent damages to people if we say some really hurtful things that trying to target the wounds that we know of just so they can feel the same pain as we did. Sometimes we do that because we're angry. Sometimes we do that because we're hurt. But majority of the times we do it because we're unhealed. So we're leaking energy somewhere. If we get triggered like that, that means there are holes and leakages in our souls. When we reach the point where we are triggered so severely that we are willing to stab somebody in their open wound. Let's say somebody has this insecurity about being raised by foster parents or being adopted, and then in the heat of a moment we say, no wonder your parents left you, no wonder your parents didn't want you. That would absolutely destroy the person, or at least leave permanent damage in their soul. Maybe you only said that because that person by accident spilled the beer on you or something completely irrational, the cause and effect was completely out of balance. It happens, especially if we're under some kind of toxic influence as well. Regardless of whether we are under influence or not, when we overreact to something and we try to cause damage to somebody, it just shows how unhealed, wounded, or hurt we are. It also is a signal that we have a lot of work to do with ourselves. One huge lesson that I learned a few years back all by myself without knowing anything that I know now, it just came to me one day, is that it can't be that everybody around me is an idiot. Like, every single person around me is a fucking idiot. It just can't be. Like, I'm not in an asylum. You know what I mean? I'm living life. It can't be that everybody else around me is an idiot. What's the common denominator in this situation? Me. So if you reach the point where everybody's triggering you, everybody's saying something wrong, every glance, every word, every action or non-action, everything triggers you, and it's everybody else's fault. Guess what, my love? It's nobody's fault. That's your mind and your soul trying to get you to the point where you do something really, really stupid, to a point where you're going to trigger your mind to actually realize that there is a problem. You are not healing something. There's something hidden within you. In those moments, the most important thing is to retrieve yourself from everyday life. I will keep saying that until I'm blue in the face. It's the key. When you reach the point where you're spiraling out of control, you need to pull yourself out of it, because that's the only way. You need to stop and assess the damage that's been done. So imagine if you're having that heat of a moment, you insulted somebody who's adopted or been raised by foster parents and stuff. Let's say you're in that situation. If you don't stop in your tracks right there and then, the second that you realize that you went too far, anything beyond that point that you're gonna say to either fix it or to make it worse or to get away with it or laugh it off, whatever, any action you're gonna take is gonna be wrong. At that point, you're just gonna make it worse. The more you're gonna try, the worse it's gonna be. The second you realize, I've gone too far, you need to stop. If it's at work, you're doing something and you're stressed out and you wake up in the morning and you're shaking and you're sick, physically sick, out of stress, you need to call in and say, I can't do this today, I need a day off. If you're cooking dinner or you're cooking breakfast, you're getting everybody's, polishing everybody's shoes, ironing everybody's clothes with one hand, and then, flipping pancakes with another hand, and then mopping the floor with your right foot, and kicking the dog out of the way with your left foot. And if you're multitasking and you're completely swamped and you've got no time to breathe, not even cry, you have no time to even feel sorry for yourself or to even fathom what is happening. Basically, you're in the doing mode, you're on autopilot, turned up on the max. But you're just doing, you're in the doing, you have no time to think about how it affects you. You reach that point where you feel so disconnected that you don't even understand how you got things done. You need to stop. Because there's no you in there anymore. It's pure, sheer stress and exhaustion. The only way to deal with it is to stop. Before you at any point when you're spiraling, you need to, before you hit the ground, you need to stop. And imagine you're in the eye of a storm. You're in the eye of the tornado, right? Everything's flying around and you're just sitting there still. Switch off the noise. You're just there. Imagine as if you're underwater. You know how you can hear things but you can't make out what it means? Imagine, just, sit down and imagine that all of those things that you hate revolve around you. And that's Bullet for My Valentine song quoted here. seriously, imagine everything's going round and round and round in a circle and you're just sitting there in the middle. How can you stop them? Try and catch them one by one? What if there's 500 things flying around you? How long is it going to take you? And how is that? So if you're going to pull one of those things out of everything that's revolving around you, what kind of impact it will have on all the other things that you left spinning? Only when you stop and you're in complete stillness, only then you can actually understand that the reason why they're spinning is because you're out of balance yourself. So yes, you're sitting in the eye of a storm right now and you feel like you're underwater and the noise is quiet and you kind of feel like, oh, I've given myself some time to think. Have you given yourself some time to heal though? Have you given yourself some time to actually dig deeper to understand why you're in the situation that you're in? If you just sit there for a second and just breathe and just try to understand, how did you end up here? Why are you feeling so helpless right now? Why is everybody else seem to be doing fine? And on the paper, you're doing so much better than anybody else, but you're the one sitting here in the eye of a storm because you couldn't take it no more. You had to pull yourself out of the whole action. Why is it you who can't deal with things? Why is it you crying? Why is it you losing sleep? Why is it you hiding from everybody when you're down? Why is it you who's always there for everybody else, but when you need help, you're on your own? Why is it you who needs to take all of these accountabilities, all of these burdens, all of these responsibilities, and always be at the top of their game, while everybody else is getting get out of jail free cards for free? Two reasons. One, some people are completely comfortable of living mindless life. So they're really comfortable at just they're so good at living in the matrix. They're just so good at following routines. I need to do this many steps a day. I'm doing a run, I'm doing this. Yes, they do a lot of things, but they do all of those things on autopilot. They don't think why they're doing them. They just do them because everybody else is doing them. So there's no internal chatter in their mind. They're just doing things. They're just puppets, basically. They're just following orders mindlessly. And then they go and numb themselves by the tellies at the end of the day, watching some crap TV, which further numbs their brain. So they're always eating junk food as well, and drinking or smoking things that further numbs them and makes them more vulnerable for manipulation and mind control. They don't think that's why everything's so easy for them, and it's majority of people. That's why you feel like you're the one failing, because the majority of people are actually doing things on autopilot as a rule, basically. It's people who break and have these breakdowns and these struggles are people who actually are thinking why and asking, why am I doing this? Why do I have to wear this watch that counts my every single step and my location is on point, so that I can share a screenshot of my route that I used to for my run and stuff like that? Why am I allowing to be tracked? Why do I feel the need to not only meet everybody's expectations when it comes to 9-to-5 jobs and stuff like that, and all the after school activities with my kids, and do this and this and this, so I'm always on the timer, but now I'm also on the fucking step count too, because I need to reach some kind of fucking goal. Anything else? I need to pay my taxes. That needs to be done on time. I need to turn up to work. There's no time for my lunch breaks. I need to be fit. I need to make sure I'm networking. I need to make sure I'm always lively. I need to make sure I'm social. I need to make sure that my friends are attended to. I need to make sure that I'm good to my family. I need to make sure that I'm helping. I need to make sure I'm volunteering. I need to make sure I get everything done around the house. Everything needs money, and there's all of that pressure of financial stability, and I need more and more and more and more and more. And once I get all of those things in order and all of these plates are spinning and none of them are falling, guess what? Another trend comes in and there's another demand on me, and now I need to drink fucking celery juice every morning as well, so I need to wake up 15 minutes earlier to blend them. Oh my goodness, it's just non-stop. You will never be able to meet all of the demands ever. Something has to drop, and sometimes everything needs to drop for you to have a complete restart, depending on how severe of a state you've reached already. So do you just need this day or these couple of hours to just sit down and evaluate what's triggering you? Maybe it's just a sugar rush, right? Maybe you had too much sugar or too much caffeine too early in the morning, too much sugar before bed and stuff like that. That's why you can't sleep. Maybe it's something physiological like this. It's just it is what it is. I didn't think that drinking espresso at 8 p.m. is gonna result in a sleepless night. And when you don't sleep, you get easily triggered, right? You're not thinking straight. It's like being under influence. It's like being drunk. If you have couple consecutive days and when you're not getting enough sleep, you're basically drunk. Your brain is numb. You can't think straight. And for people who feel like insomnia or acute insomnia is not their fault, and it's something I learned to live with, and it's like being a functional alcoholic. It doesn't, just because that you got a tag on it, it doesn't make it go away. It doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it right. There are functional drug addicts, there are functional alcoholics, there are functional narcissists, like full-blown narcissists who know how to have families still and have everybody else fooled how well they, how nice of a person they are and stuff like that. It's trickery. You're only tricking yourself though. If you're not sleeping, if you're not eating, or if you're overeating and oversleeping, you're not taking control of your life. You're wasting your energy. Either way, you're always wasting your energy on the wrong things. Finding that you're never gonna reach the state when all of your energy is only yours to keep. You wake up in the morning, you need to feed your cat. You're already sharing your energy straight away. You wake up in the morning and you turn on the radio, you turn on a meditation, you turn on a YouTube video, you turn on a podcast, anything. You wake up in the morning, you're not gonna just walk around the house in silence, are you? If you are, it's wonderful. If you can go and do some yoga as well, in the morning, or some stretches without getting any interactions with anyone, without putting any devices on, kudos to you. I mean, that's the goal, man. It's wonderful, but majority of people, unfortunately, we wake up, and including myself actually, it's a really bad habit. We wake up and looking out at our phone, turn the alarm clock off, and we're either scrolling or listening to something straight away. And we start leaking energy straight away. Like 2 minutes after we wake up, we start leaking energy. So even if we can still have a productive day and get things done, and even if we get all of our yogas and journaling sessions and meditations, and we balance our day out, and we have everything organized to a point where there's no stress, we're depleting ourselves, because we only get to a stressful state when there's too much of things to do. We don't stress when we only have a couple of things to do, which really, when you think about, if you look at your day today, look back on your day, how many things that you've done, let's say you've done 50 things today, right? How many of those things were absolutely necessary for your survival? You could not, if you didn't go to work, you would have gotten sacked. If you didn't take your kid to school, you would have gotten a call from school saying, where's your kid? Or I don't know, they do penalties, I think, now as well. It's like, how many of those things would actually have really, really severe consequences if you didn't do today? So make sure those things happen. But all the other things that didn't make the cut, like grabbing a coffee for my co-worker, or taking my partner's jackets to dry cleaners, blah blah blah, and giving my friend a call to remind her about this and that, and pop into the shop to get some Christmas shopping in fucking September because I'm so organized, and just putting some nonsense demands on myself, just in an attempt to reduce my stress. Get everything removed at the core. Look at the list of the things that didn't make the cut, and just think, why is it my responsibility to take my partner's jacket to the dry cleaners? Why can't it's his jackets? He needs them clean. He needs to find a way to do it. Not my problem. It's the nice thing to do, not my problem. Giving my friend a buzz to remind her of something, she can set the reminder to herself. You're not a fucking notification, like human notification. No, it's nice things to do. It shows that you care, blah blah blah. What does it add to you? Nothing. It's just another thing on your to-do list to remember to do when it's somebody else's responsibility to look after themselves. We do so many things for other people out of the pure peer pressure, basically, because it's nice. We want to be liked, we want to be loved, we want to know that regardless of how much we're killing ourselves to be perfect and stuff like that, it actually amounts to something. So we are likable, we are lovable, we are helpful, it gives a sense of purpose, it gives a sense of security, which is more often than not a false sense of security, because when we actually need people, they're never there. Especially if we are the person who's always giving. People who are always so used to taking are not going to be there for us when we need them. So you'll find that when someone else is ill and they're sick and unwell, you're running around and getting their shopping and getting their medication and checking up on them and all sorts of things. When you're ill, however, everybody disappears and they just say, oh, I didn't want to bother you, so I'll left you alone. And they think it's a kind thing to do, not to bother you, with nice things. Or how about somebody doing your shopping, somebody getting you some treats, somebody calling to check up on you, not because they need something or they're checking up when you're going to be available to do things for them, but actually because they care. And no, because you probably say, because you're so exhausted, and probably when you're ill you actually don't want to be bothered by anybody because you just use that time to catch up on sleep, right? Which is fine, and majority of the times you're going to be the one who's going to push everybody away when you're ill. But when you really think about it, if someone you cared about tried to push you away when they're ill, would they be able to? No. Because you would still help them, wouldn't you? Because you're the giver. Why am I saying all of these things? It sounds like a rant, right? Of random things. The reason why I'm saying all of these things is these are the examples of how unconsciously you are wasting your energy to help others. It is not your job. It's not your responsibility. I don't care whether people are adults or not. Each person is responsible for, to some extent, it's different with kids and ill people, or someone with restricted mobility, or with some disorders or illnesses and stuff like that. I'm not talking about the exceptions. In general, if you're dealing with adults, it's absolutely nothing is your responsibility. That does not directly impact you or your dependents. We need to stop doing these nice things to people who are completely capable of doing those things themselves, mostly because we're leaking energy when we do that, and we punish ourselves, we deprive ourselves of that energy, giving that to other people who don't deserve it. The only time when it's okay to do so is when it's equal give and take. It's balanced exchange of energy, then it's fine to do so. Right? Sometimes not all jobs exhaust people. Some jobs are, you put some work in and you get paid really well for what you're doing, right? So you don't get exhausted because you feel appreciated and you actually feel valued and paid enough, right, for what you're doing. So some jobs you're just okay to carry on doing, right? Some jobs are not as burdensome as others, right? Some people are not as burdensome as others because you get something back from them too. And sometimes you don't have a choice but to do things, and you need to suck it up because we're humans and we all have to do it. It's all about minimizing the amount of things that we do for people for free. It's about thinking before we agree to doing things. It's about not being so willing to jump at any opportunity to waste our energy to a point where we start spiraling ourselves and we start falling and there's no bottom. There's nothing worse than that. Never allow anyone or anything to get you to that point, because then it triggers your demons. When you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're completely drained of your energy, that's when you make mistakes. That's when you say things that you don't want to say. In order to avoid those situations, so in order to avoid causing damage, take accountability of your own energy. Take accountability of the fact that you're in control of how you respond to your environment. And if you're spiraling right now, take the proportion of your accountability. Make the decision. Stop right now. Take care of yourself. Love you. Nikki.